Hey, welcome everyone again for another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm the host, Aaron Bloxel, with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Last night, some crazy, lots of hockey happening last night, and of course, some of the big teams fell. So first off, Toronto losing 3-0 to Pittsburgh. They look normal. All is right in the world with Crosby and Malkin beating the mighty Toronto Maple Leafs. Is it just a case of good goaltending, or do you think Pittsburgh had a good game plan against them? Or do you think it's because Nazem Kadri finally scored a goal, but on the wrong net?
Well, it is good goaltending on both ways. Like Pittsburgh finally got Matt Murray back, and after a rough start to the season, he had the 38 save shutout last night. And Anderson was good on the other side. He only let in one goal as well, as Pittsburgh got two empty net goals. So it's two high-powered teams, but both goaltenders came to play. And especially Evgeny Malkin, he's up to 21 goals and 62 points in 36 career games against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So
Wow.
that's one guy that lives to play against the Leafs. But yeah, it's like both teams had 38 shots on goal. It just the puck wasn't going in. Both goaltenders stood on their head.
Yeah, I saw some of the highlights. Both goalies played very well in that game. Lots of shots either way. Um, Other game was the mighty New Jersey Devils fell to the Colorado Avalanche. Not just Gabriel Landeskog's hat trick, but that line of Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen. Unbelievable again with, I believe, 10 or 11 points in that game. New Jersey finally losing their first game. Who would have thought 5 games in, they finally lose one 3 weeks into the season? What
I
did you
know,
think
yeah.
of that
Well,
game?
it was bound to happen eventually. But yeah, that top line, Mikko Rantanen is now leading the league in assists with 11 assists in 7 games. And McKinnon had another 3 assists, and Landeskog with that Hattie, as you said last night. That line continues to go. Also, along with New Jersey, Corey Schneider got activated to the active roster, and he's going to be sent down to the American Hockey League on a conditioning stint. So we'll see how the goalie controversy will begin there when he gets back up with the team. But yeah, it was a close game. Taylor Hall also had another nice game with 1 goal and 2 assists, I believe. So they're still producing, but yeah, that top line for Colorado is really tough to defend.
Well, that being said, I mean, we talked about on yesterday's episode how good New Jersey was looking. Is Colorado for real? Are they going to be a team that you can see potentially making the playoffs? Because they have a pretty good record right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think last year was tough in the playoffs with Varlamov being injured and then Jonathan Bernier going down after that. But bringing in Philip Grubauer and Varlamov, both of them are on top of their games. I know Grubauer is playing again in their next game, but that's just mostly because of his career numbers against the Carolina Hurricanes have been excellent. He has a 4-2-1 record with a 922 save percentage. So it's good to have two goalies that you can trust no matter what. But Varlamov, especially to start this season, has been rock solid in net. And also their defense, they went out and addressed their back end by signing Ian Cole. And then their younger guys such as Zadorov, Samuel Girard have really stepped up along with the big two and Tyson Barrie and Eric Johnson. So as long as they can stay healthy, because that's what really put them in a tough spot in the playoffs, along with like Eric Johnson being out the entire playoff run. So if they can stay healthy and that top line keeps producing, I think they got a shot this year in the playoffs.
Another big team on a streak, the Boston Bruins, lose 3-2 in overtime to the Edmonton Oilers. And I got to tell you, I saw a picture last night online, and it was basically a picture of a bench at the middle of the ice with Connor McDavid sitting in the middle of the bench, and it said the 2018-19 Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, another 2 assists last night, including setting up Draisaitl for the overtime winner. But man, yeah, McDavid, the guy just continues to impress every game. His pass to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins going off the bank pass to the other side of the net was really impressive. I'm not sure if he did it on purpose, but if he did, that was a highly skilled play. Along with Kailer Yamamoto scored his first career NHL goal last night off a pretty nice rush off the left wing, shot at top glove for a nice goal. And David Pastrnak, another goal last night, is up to 8 goals in 7 games as that line continues to produce, even though they lost last night.
Yeah, Boston, a couple of tough losses in a row right now on the Western Road Swing. They pull into Vancouver for a game tomorrow night. Couple of hot teams losing games yesterday. Both the Chicago Blackhawks lost 4-1 to the Arizona Coyotes, and the Vancouver Canucks losing 4-1 to the Winnipeg Jets. Two of the teams we mentioned that were having hot starts out of the norm, are they coming back down to earth, or is Arizona finally getting it together with Galchenyuk on the verge of coming back? Even though they actually suffered some bad news today with, I believe it was Christian Dvorak. But also, are the Winnipeg Jets that good, or did the Canucks just get tired at the end of a road swing?
Yeah, well, I think with Arizona, it's just like they've been playing really well, and they've been getting good goaltending from Antti Raanta. It's just that they just could not put the puck in the net to save their lives, sort of. But Corey Crawford coming back in his first game in a long while, I think affected things a little bit on Chicago's side as Crawford tries to get back into the swing of things after being off for so long. But Vinny Hinostroza, his first game back against Chicago, had 2 goals. And a very emotional Nicholas Jongelson made his comeback his comeback to Chicago, and they gave him a nice tribute video after playing 10 seasons in Chicago. I think he was one of the more underrated defensemen in Chicago, always being that nice, good defensive defenseman alongside Duncan Keith, I believe, over many of those years. So since he was injured all last season, he missed out on getting that tribute video, but yeah, he logged over 22 minutes in that game, and then Arizona finally got some luck by getting some guys putting that puck in the net finally.
Canucks were outplayed, tied 1-1 at one point in the third period. Dustin Byfuglien, back from injury, had a great game with a goal and 2 assists. But I want to tell you, as they won 4-1, when it was 1-1, there was a scramble in front where I believe it was Little hit the crossbar, and Nielsen made a great save. After the save, Nikolai Ehlers skated up to him and tapped him on the pads and had some words with him. And the very next shot went in, and then the doors, the floodgates seemed to open up after that. As a goaltender, when the other team talks to you, what normally goes through your head? And do you think this is something that the Canucks should have tried to get involved with?
Well, it sort of depends on what was said, because sometimes like you see, like with Roberto Luongo as his career went on, sometimes he'd like have like a joke with the player or something like that, or give the guy a hard time. So it sort of depends on the situation, because if a guy comes up and is just like, oh, nice save or whatever, or you joke about what the guy should have done or something like that, then I don't think it's a big deal. But if a guy comes up and starts chirping or whatever, usually I have my defenseman in front of me to sort of guide the guy away, sort of thing. But you just try not to let it rattle you or anything. But after that, it's like some of the goals, it was like a little bit of tough luck. After that, like Branson got caught out of position. And Ben Hutton as well on a couple of those goals, got caught chasing. Especially, I think there was a nice picture on one of the goals of all 5 Canuck players right surrounding Nielsen after one of the goals. So, but yeah, it's one of those things. It just sort of depends on what's said, and then it's like sometimes you have a good back and forth or whatever, depending if it's just joking around or whatever. And if it comes to chirping, usually you just ignore it, and then usually your teammates, being a goaltender, have your back and are able to come in and steer that away.
It was interesting because when I saw that, it almost what went through my head was it was Winnipeg trying to do something different than they had been doing all game. Either simply went up to him, tapped him on the pads, said something to him, and I thought to myself, hey, maybe Nielsen's going to relax a little bit And this is maybe a bad thing. And sure enough, right off the bat, Winnipeg scored to make it 2-1 and then scored 2 quick ones to make it 4-1. I was just surprised that, that I saw that and that happened so quickly afterwards. Who else as we have lots of Canuck fans watching the show, who else from the Canucks stood out for you?
Well,
as I know there was a lot of passengers last night, not a lot of people stood out.
Well, the one guy that Travis Green praised and that I'm happy finally got some good words from his coach, Nikolai Goldobin, I thought had a really good game. He got promoted to that top line with Horvat and Besser as the game went along, and logged over 16 minutes last night, which is really good because especially with playing alongside Pettersson to start this season, he's starting to show that he can play without him as a center iceman. And I think the way Pettersson's played has really rubbed off on Goldobin too, especially the two-way play, showing us that you can still be a really strong offensive player if you take care of your own zone. Especially with, I think what we've seen with Pettersson is how he hounds the puck down as soon as he loses it. He's like right on those guys. And then he's going back the other way offensively. But he had a couple nice passes for some scoring chances. And then Green really praised his game after the game. So hopefully he can continue to keep up this play as over the next few games, at least until Pettersson comes back. But yeah, that's been the biggest thing with Goldobin is his defensive play. Now that's coming into form. He's starting to get the trust from the coach, which I think a lot of people in Vancouver are really happy to see.
Steven Stamkos getting his first of the year last year. Tampa Bay beating the lowly Red Wings 3-1. Erik Karlsson, I don't know if you saw this, in the 5-1 win against Buffalo last night, Pavelski scored a goal and Karlsson went along. He was inside the bench and he was trying to get some love. He was trying to high-five people, and they all turned away and nobody gave him a high-five. He just looked that up on YouTube. Has that ever happened to you where the team celebrated and no one wanted to high-five you?
No. Usually I'm in my net or whatever. So sometimes I might try to yell or something to say it was a nice goal or something. And sometimes they don't hear you or something like that. But yeah, it's I didn't see that last night. But that's always funny to see where the guy gets left hanging and trying to celebrate with all his buddies.
It kind of made me laugh, and it was like I think the caption was, "You're still new to this team. Who is this guy?" Islanders on back-to-back nights lost to Anaheim, and then last night absolutely crushed the LA Kings 7-2. LA, we talked about yesterday, they finally got their first power play goal. Jonathan Quick made his return and got absolutely shelled. What does that do for Quick's confidence, or was it just a bad game for the LA Kings?
Yeah, I think it was just a bad game all around for the Kings. I know Kopitar was out of the lineup with an illness, so that's a huge hole to fill for the Kings. But I think the big thing with the Islanders here is that it was a lot of depth scoring. Like Filppula had 2 goals, Zizekas had a goal.
Matt Martin even scored a goal.
Yeah, Matt Martin. So it wasn't all the big guns going out and potting the puck in the net. And I believe the Islanders scored on 4 straight shots in the third period.
Ooh.
As well. So it was just a whole bad run of luck for the Kings last night. And another thing for the Islanders, I know Robin Lehner was playing really well, but he left with about 8 minutes in the game. Apparently he took a shot off his mask reportedly, and he had to leave the game after with Bryce coming in. So that's something to keep an eye on with the Islanders. But yeah, right now the Islanders, it's like they've sort of been up and down, but it sort of comes down to their goaltending. And how Greiss and Leonard are going to play. But yeah, right now they're filling in that depth really well with Tavares gone. And hopefully they continue to keep up that play, because the Islanders have a lot of exciting players to watch, especially Matthew Barzal, who had another 2 assists last night as well.
Yeah, and of course their defense looks a whole lot better already this year. And I'm sure Coach Barry Trotz has something to do with that. Big signing in the NHL today. Why don't you update us on the Vegas Golden Knights' newest contract?
Yeah, so the Vegas Golden Knights extended power forward Alex Tuch to a 7-year extension worth $33.25 million. That's a $4.75 million cap hit. So this contract will kick in when he's 23 years old, and will go all the way until he's 30 years old. So that's basically all his prime years for Tuch. And I think that's a really good signing, because I think this guy's the potential to be a top 6 power forward.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's sort of been up and down the lineup last year, and he started off with some injuries this year, so he hasn't been in the lineup that much so far. But yeah, it's a good number for them, and hopefully he can jump up to be like a 25, 60-point guy every year.
Definitely has the size and skill, and has shown the potential to do that. So, final news and notes before we wrap up today's show.
Yeah, so a couple of things going into this weekend. Tyler Bozak will make his return to Toronto tomorrow after 10 seasons there. So I think he expects it to be another emotional night, sort of along the lines of what Jarmelson had last night in Chicago. A couple of injury notes. I think you brought up the Christian Dvorak with Arizona. Had a fluke injury where he tore his pectoral muscle in practice, so he's out indefinitely right now. The Winnipeg Jets sent down their first-round pick, Christian Vesalainen, to the American Hockey League. So that's gone. Jake Dotchin filed a grievance against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So that'll be something to keep an eye on after he signed that 1-year deal with the Anaheim Ducks the other day. And I think that's about it. And some other New Jersey Devil news. Travis Zajac and Ben Lovejoy will both be out with lower body injuries this coming weekend. But yeah, the Canucks are playing Boston tomorrow night here in Vancouver. So the Boo Birds will be out for Brad Marchand and all that. But another thing is, like, saw a poll question on 1040 today about 2011. It's like, I think they asked, like, are you over the Stanley Cup loss in 2011? It was yes, no, or never. I think I fell on that never part. I think a lot of other people would, but I think the never was only at 41%, with I think yes being at like 33%. So it'd be interesting to see where people are at. I know it's like with that team, we had all the pieces, but some injuries and just some bad luck went our way. So it's still one of those things where every once in a while you think back to it and it's just like we should have won, but yeah.
Of course, there's only, as far as I'm aware, about 5 players left on the Boston roster from 2011, and I believe only 2 players left on Vancouver's roster from those 2 teams, being Edler and Tanev. And Boston had Marchand, Bergeron, Krejci, Chara, and Tuch Rask as the backup. Correct me if there's anyone I'm missing.
No, I think that sounds right, man. And it's
still a rivalry there, and I think that's because of the fans' hatred towards the Boston Bruins team for sure, or the only number 63, Brad Marchand.
And as I just remember this now, some interesting news on the Nikita Triamkin front. As I brought up, he's been a healthy scratch over in the KHL, but apparently his Instagram profile picture has been changed to him in a Vancouver Canucks jersey. So I know he's still under contract, but that is something interesting to see if he does return it, and if they can work some way around his contract to see if they can get him back in the NHL sooner rather than later.
Very interesting, and as I don't know why a healthy scratch in the KHL would all of a sudden be good enough to play in the NHL. So obviously there's some things that he needs to work out, and I'm sure he's aware of that. So remember to like and comment on our Facebook page, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and let your friends know about us. Help us spread the word about this channel if you like today's show. Give us some love. We love bringing this to you guys. We'll be back next Monday. Enjoy all the hockey games this weekend. Saturday nights are always jam-packed with lots of games. So enjoy. Hope your favorite team does well, and we'll see you guys all next week.